Oh, yeah.
Stickball Sports!
Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope everybody's having a great day out there. First, before I get going, we're going to talk a little about DeAndre Miller and what happened last month with him and what's happened today. But before we get into some New York Rangers hockey, let's talk a little bit about. I wanted to talk a little bit about just the health and welfare of our nation. I would be really blind for a better word, to not address what's going on inside of our country right now. I do not talk politics on this channel. I refuse to. But what I will say is I hope everybody is staying safe. Hope everybody is protecting themselves. And with that, I hope that everybody is trying to live in the solution instead of being in the problem. And I hope everybody out there is staying safe, and I hope we have a real good reason to smile and enjoy life as time goes on here. But without further ado, let's talk about DeAndre Miller. In the post today, talked a little bit about his feelings regarding race and with everything that happened with George Floyd and with everything that's going on inside this country right now. So he had a interesting view on some of the remarks and that he said, which I found really interesting. So he spoke about last year's draft, and he talked a little bit about what happened what happened with DeAndre Miller. If anybody doesn't know who DeAndre Miller is, he was one of our top draft picks last year. Up and coming defenseman. I believe he's like 6'3", 6'4". I think he plays for Wisconsin in college. He's no longer playing for them. He signed his entry level deal now. But the being is that he's one of the top up-and-coming defenseman and one of our top prospects in the entire organization. So he is a offensively skilled defenseman. He literally only started playing defense a few years ago, believe it or not. And he's definitely going to make a living playing defense. He's long, he's lengthy, really an offensively skilled defenseman, and this is why a lot of people have been a little up in arms a little bit about obviously committing to D'Angelo, which I am a big Tony Tone fan, and if they don't sign D'Angelo, you will see smoke coming out of my ears. Definitely on the D'Angelo bandwagon. Brings not only a lot of offensive firepower to our back end, but a lot of character to our dressing room. So, if anybody doesn't follow him on Twitter, you need to go follow him. He's a good listen. So, with that said, one of our top draft picks. He was drafted last year. I believe he was drafted 22nd or 18, something like that. And he hasn't really disappointed us too much. He didn't have a great year in college. He's now signed his entry-level deal. But the Rangers thought it would be a great idea. Many things have started with those words. We thought it was a great idea. Yeah, they thought it was a great idea to put him on a Zoom last month. So obviously everything's still dealing with the quarantines and all that type of stuff. But put him on a Zoom intro meeting with the Rangers PR staff. They thought it was a great idea. So they had him and they had the Rangers staff together on a Zoom meeting. Great, I got that out of my mouth. So when that happened, somebody hijacked the meeting. And what I mean by that is there's bots and things like that actually can go and create usernames, screen names. I don't know how they do it. I'm not a big-time tech nerd, but all I know is they were able to hijack the Zoom meeting, and they wrote the N-word about 1 million times. And I'm going to post the screen here so you guys can see it all. But as you can see, they posted it over and over and over and over. And from there, things got pretty ugly. It was really, I saw it after the fact, and I couldn't believe it. I was disgusted that there's people like this, that the kid's like 20 years old. You know, I can't imagine what all of us think about is 20 years old fans like myself, 20 years old, going into maybe your first real job, something you're super excited about, like you're making millions of dollars, you know, you're just being introduced to their fan base, and this is the first thing that happens really to you. Bad luck, New York Rangers. I mean, I don't know how they could have prevented it, but something like this shouldn't ever happen. Either way, it happened. He immediately acted like a pro, acted like he didn't. I'll even put his reaction up here. You can take a look. But he acted like it didn't bother him, but you can see it definitely flustered him. So after that happened, they cut the meeting off. That was the end of it. And he hasn't said much, just that he was saddened by what happened, and he was truly sorry that it happened. But what happened now, that I want to just speed up to, was with the death of George Floyd, and we're not going to get political here because we don't talk politics on my channel. But with the death of George Floyd, it definitely set him off, and it affected him. He in the post, he wrote that the death of George Floyd, I'm going to read it to you. I'm also going to post it here. It sparked the Rangers prospect Keandre Miller to speak out Monday for the first time about being the target of hundreds of racial slurs while conducting an online Q&A with fans after signing his NHL contract. He went on to say, "I've struggled for months to find the words to express my frustration and anger over the Zoom conference call incident when I was to be introduced after signing my NHL contract." The 20-year-old black defenseman wrote in a statement posted to Twitter, "It's something that I won't ever forget." I just reiterated that this kid is 20 years old, but this is probably something that is going to stay with him the rest of his life. I don't know what it's like to be a black NHL defenseman. I can't imagine what he goes through. And obviously with this whole incident that happened in our country, he felt the need to speak out about it. And I give him a lot of credit for that. So being that happened, the NHL and the Rangers need to do better. It's that simple. We all need to do better. And for a kid to be speaking up on this subject, especially now, I give him a lot of credit. It speaks to his character. And it also speaks to his character that he didn't just lash out the minute it happened. He even says here that, he had a hard time trying to find the words to express his anger and frustration. So, and we're going to move on here. But it's some real powerful words by this kid. So obviously some really smart words from a pretty unique player that we drafted here in Keandre Miller. Just talking about racism in the NHL. We'd be foolish to say that didn't exist. It's sad and it's ugly. And I'm hoping that, sometime in the near future that, we're able to just look at people as human beings and not the color of their skin. But I want to read to you guys a little bit about what the league said. And the league came out, and I'm going to post this here for you guys. The league pretty much just came out and just condemned it. Pretty much said that there's no place in the league for it. Rangers eventually disabled the chat feature, and then they went on with the rest of the interview. They without any further interruption. Thank God. 500 fans were on it. Miller, the team's 22nd overall pick in the 2018 NHL draft, signed a 3-year, $3.825 million deal with the Rangers on March 16th, shortly after the league shut down due to the coronavirus. So, with that said, I'm not going to spend too much time on the league's response to this, because they came out and definitely did not condone what happened. So I'm going to write, I'm not going to write, I'm going to post something that I found in the Post. And it was really, really just eye-opening to me that a young kid coming into this league, he's a black kid, mind you, and how he feels. So he wrote here, the death of George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man who was killed by a white police officer last week in Minneapolis. And the protest that followed prompted Miller, a Minnesota native, to take a stand. So Miller's from Minnesota. So we can just imagine how this is affecting him. And he wrote, and he said, I should say, I struggle because I've never been fully accepted by either the black community and the white community. I struggle because for years I've been one of the only people of color on my hockey teams. I've been targeted because of my race when I was in youth hockey by some coaches, parents, and players, but I refuse to give up because of my love for the game. It's pretty sad. You know, I just found that to be extremely sad, that this kid has been the target of racism, and it's not his first time dealing with it, his whole life. His whole life playing a sport that he loves. And he said he refused to give up because of his love for the game. Man, I don't know. I think we should all put ourselves in Keandre Miller's shoes for a day. I don't think we'd like what we see. It's pretty humbling. I feel bad for the kid that at 20 years old, he's got to go through such ugliness. It's just not right, but we don't live in a fair world at all. Let's just pray that it's a better world tomorrow than it is today. But with that, thanks for watching. Please smash that YouTube algorithm, hit subscribe, and please hit that thumbs up if you like what you hear. And I appreciate you guys. And give me your thoughts on this video. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah.